Greeting to the Ethiopian people at home and abroad, and the Rastafari movement, and members of the Church of Haile Selassie I, and the IEW Incorporated, the Imperial Ethiopian Federation Incorporated. To Prince Mars Ahmed, the president of the
Prime Minister
Abiy Ahmed.
Abiy Ahmed.
To the Ethiopian Council and to the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, greetings. Myself from the Church of Haile Selassie I, Abono Fox, and Christopher Abraham, and my brethren who is present today. After reading certain document that is being drafted by Zekoto and other Ethiopian writers, we believe that our contention to restoration and the of Haile Selassie I, and the restoration of the of Haile Selassie I constitutional monarchy is valid today. And what statement King Haile Selassie made 1983-7 to the people of Jamaica is valid today. We want the Ethiopian student who born after 1874 must realize that one of the fundamental principles of the Marxist-Leninist Stalinist government is to re-educate people by taking away your past history and present to you Marx, Lenin and Stalin. We don't want you to become a victim to this. That is why during our discussion we have the right to give you a opportunity to listen to what we are discussing today, pertaining to restoration of the dynasty of Haile Selassie I and constitutional monarchy. I hope this really you'll find interest in it, because myself and Brother Christopher Graham and the members who is present have draft this conversation from Sokoto and other Ethiopian writers that you, students of today, will understand why it is a must that you support the restoration of the dynasty of Haile Selassie I and constitutional monarchy, because we will discussing it from an intellectual point of view, on a grassroots point of view. So I believe that you have the opportunity to listen to Brother Christopher Graham, because I myself, when listening to him again through the discussion, give thanks. I Selassie first live it. Rastafari, one God.
Rastafari, Emperor Haile Selassie I live it.
Amen. Now.
Yes, greetings in the name of Emperor Haile Selassie I. Monarchy, an institution that can unite all Ethiopians. The Church of Haile Selassie I and the Imperial Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated have seen the recent protests in the Oromo and Amhara regions of Ethiopia and have questioned the legitimacy of the ruling party of Ethiopia, the Ethiopian People Revolutionary Democratic Front, EPRDF, and many opposition groups and concerned Ethiopians are calling for a transitional government and a new constitution, while opposing groups are advocating for different versions of political structures, for example, unitary, federal, or a mix of the two. They all seem to have a common interest in a democratic political system. However, only the Church of Haile Selassie I and the Imperial Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated from 1974 has been calling for the restoration of the monarchy, an institution that has long been part of the country's tradition and history. From its legendary origin of Queen Makeda and King Solomon to its likely root of Daman or Damat. kingdom of ancient Ethiopia and to its successor states centered in Tigray and Showa. The history of the Solomonic dynasty has long been associated with the history of Ethiopia. This age-old monarchy, when restored, will help to maintain and foster national identity, national unity, compatible to 1931, the 16th of July, Ethiopia's first written constitution by Emperor Haile Selassie I, establishing the first constitutional monarchy for Ethiopia and Black Africa. In his study of democracy, Seymour Martin Lipset, 1959, observed that of the 12 democratic countries of the time, 10 had monarchies as head of states. These democracies were located mostly in Western Europe and included Great Britain, the Netherlands, Sweden, Norway, and Denmark. Lipset argued that the democratic regimes in Western Europe acquired legitimacy because they preserved the traditional monarchies as head of states, which had the support of the conservative groups, including the aristocracy, landlords, and the clergy. The Church of Haile Selassie I and the Imperial Ethiopian Royal Federation put emphasis on what Lipset said. Consequently, constitutional monarchies, according to Lipset, have helped to legitimize the democratic system by fostering unity among diverse groups. The groups of the past, conservatives, and the groups of the present, progressives. In the case of Ethiopia, the revolution ended Emperor Haile Selassie's reign due to its failure to make political and social reforms. This is questioned by the Church of Haile Selassie I and the Imperial Ethiopian Royal Federation Incorporated. This is a propaganda statement by Marxists, Leninists, Stalinists to undermine the integrity of Emperor Haile Selassie I's government. The aristocracy is also gone. Either it was killed during the revolution, died out of age, or could not maintain its status. The landlord class has also been wiped out by the revolution. The only conservative institution remaining from the old order is the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. This is also questioned by the Church of Haile Selassie I and the Imperial Ethiopian Royal Federation Incorporated because in 1976, the Ethiopian government murdered the patriarch Theophilus by strangling him with electrical wire. One could see further information on the internet on the patriarch Theophilus. Prior revolutions have also ended monarchies in France in 1789, and in Russia in 1917, and in China in 1911 for similar reasons. Yet, the end of the Solomonic dynasty may not be a foregone conclusion, as Arnold Tony B. has argued. Ethiopia has been more of a peculiar country. For instance, it was the only country that had avoided European colonization in Africa, save Liberia. It was also the only country in the Northeast Africa that preserved its monophysite Christianity by avoiding Islamic jihad in the 7th century AD, cited in Trimingham 1952. We might also add that the Salamanic dynasty was restored in 1270 AD after having been interrupted by the Zagwe rulers between the 11th and the 13th centuries. The Church of Haile Selassie I and the Imperial Ethiopian World Federation says history will repeat itself under an Ethiopian democracy. The present Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, in his inauguration speech, stated that we have our own democracy in Ethiopia. The dynasty was also restored in 1855 after giving way to the era of the princes, lasting for about 100 years. Will history repeat itself? Will the weight of Ethiopia's long and rich history sway the opinions of all or most Ethiopians to seek a restoration of the monarchy one more time? Question. The Church of Haile Selassie I and the Imperial Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated say yes to restore the monarchy of Emperor Haile Selassie I. Another restoration. Should there be a popular interest in it, the Salamanic dynasty could be restored in Ethiopia as a national constitutional monarchy. For absolute autocracy systems are increasingly becoming a thing of the past. The principal function of a constitutional monarchy would be to serve as a symbol of national unity and would only have ceremonial duties. Indeed, the only way one can make a monarchy compatible with modern ideas of equality and liberty, also known as democracy, is to make sure that it is constitutional and that it is involved very little, if at all, in day-to-day politics. Such an institution would not need an emperor, but a king, for the former implies the presence of an empire or more than one king in the country. The Church of Haile Selassie I and the Imperial Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated is calling for a king from Emperor Haile Selassie I dynasty. It may be anticipated, however, that some Ethiopians or groups are opposed to the return of the Salamanic monarchy. For instance, they may believe that the time of the monarchy has gone. This is a fascist belief and statement by Mussolini, and it was disproved by 2 Chronicles chapter 7 verse 10 by the son that was given Tafari. Given the revolutionary upheaval that the country had to go through between 1974 and 1991 and the popularity of the modern republics, these individuals and groups may not see the need for restoring the monarchy. However, the political history of the country since 1974 suggests that Republican Ethiopia has not been without major, if not catastrophic problems. Without the restoration, this will continue because of the sectarianism of the day. During the Derg regime, hundreds of thousands of Ethiopians were murdered and a generation of intellectuals was lost. Under the EPRDF, Ethiopian unity is at stake and in danger. Regional and ethnic identities are increasingly becoming more important than the overarching Ethiopian nationalism. In addition, some groups from ethnic groups like the Oromo may feel that the Solomonic monarchy may not represent the cultural values of all Ethiopian people. The Church of Haile Selassie I and the Imperial Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated see this as a contradiction because of the historical evidence of these families' relation and marriage. It is true that the dynasty has been historically associated with the Amharas and the Tigrayan peoples of north-central Ethiopia. Yet, there had been marriages between the Solomonic line of rulers and people belonging to the Oromo ethnic group from as far back as 300 years ago. Emperor Bekafat, who ruled Ethiopia between 1721 and 1730, and from the Solomonic line of rulers, is believed to have married an Oromo. The couple's son, Emperor Haile II, from 1730 to 1755, who was also married to an Oromo. More recently, Emperor Haile Selassie's wife, Empress Menen Asfa, was partly an Oromo. She was the granddaughter of Nigos Michael, formerly Muhammad Ali. Emperor Haile Selassie himself is believed to have an Oromo blood on his father's side. His grandfather is believed to be Fita Rare Walde Michael Gudesa. Moreover, Emperor Haile Selassie's granddaughter, Princess Sable Desta, was married to an Oromo, Dajamat Kasa Walde Miriam, and Prince Haile Selassie, Emperor Haile Selassie's son, was married to an Oromo, Princess Matsente Habte Miriam. In other words, the Oromo have every right to claim and nurture the Solomonic dynasty, as Dana Levine, 1974, has aptly put it. Ethiopia is an evolving multi-ethnic society, and the Oromo have been instrumental in such an evolution. This the Church of Haile Selassie I and the Imperial Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated accept through history and DNA. The first statement of this paragraph could be seen as a thin line by the Marxist, Leninist, Stalinist regime, raping a democracy and freedom of expression. Moreover, the religion of the Solomonic line of rulers have been Christianity. So, would Ethiopian Muslims support the restoration of the monarchy? Yes. The Solomonic line of rulers and the leaders of Muslim kingdoms and principalities in Ethiopia, of course, had a long history of conflict and peaceful coexistence in the country. True. For instance, when medieval Ethiopian rulers such as Emperor Amde Tyson I, 1314 to 1334, realized that the Adal or Afar Muslims were too proud and brave to be completely subdued. They had to give them regional autonomy. In addition, whenever Ethiopia needed a new bishop from Alexandria, Egyptian sultans had consistently encouraged the medieval Ethiopian emperor to respect the religious rights of the Ethiopian Muslims. The Ethiopian emperors had often consented to do so. More importantly, it should be noted that ordinary Ethiopian Christians and Muslims have shown extraordinary civility and tolerance to each other over a long period of time. This is especially true since the turn of the 20th century. Still, it is an open question as to how Ethiopian Muslims would feel with the idea of restoring the Solomonic dynasty. One thing is true, there has to be religious freedom in Ethiopia for the monarchy, when restored, to be accepted by diverse religious groups in the country. This demonstrates His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I historical statement to the Eritrean Parliament 1953. Eritrea, as a Muslim state, Emperor Haile Selassie I said, Christianity and Islam are not the only two religions in the world. There are others that speak of God. Now, it is only fitting to repeat Dr. Getachew Mekasha's advice stated in his 1991 essay published in the Ethiopian Review. In his wisely entitled essay, The True Test for Democracy Still Ahead, Dr. Getachew argued that if democracy was to exist in Ethiopia right after the fall of the Derg regime, the monarchy needed to be restored. Of course, Dr. Getachew's advice was not heeded at the time. It may not be too late now, however. The Church of Haile Selassie I and the Imperial Ethiopian World Federation Incorporated respect Dr. Getachew's statement totally. If the Solomonic dynasty is restored, the monarchy will likely be an asset, not a liability, to the Ethiopian people. Specifically, the Solomonic line of rulers could serve as unifying symbol and father figure of the country's diverse people, as cultural and historical figures to look up to. The monarch could also help to revitalize the increasingly declining traditional Ethiopian values such as trust, decency, and respect. Moreover, the monarchy could provide legitimacy to the political system of the country. This is especially true if the political system of Ethiopia is democratic. His Majesty Emperor Selassie I living. Tuatu International President and Abuna Emmanuel Fox. His Majesty.
We have brethren and sisters, you have just heard the discussion we had as a group dealing with constitutional monarchy. There's nothing more I could say to you about that. You research it now and look at it again. And as the writer stated that constitutional monarchy will give it to our back its integrity and decency until in time to come erase the Derg and the present them government who undermine His Majesty's integrity. The Rastafarian people, after listening this and reading it through pamphlets and leaflets, will understand there is no other salvation but restoration of the dynasty of Haile Selassie I, restoration of the constitutional monarchy. Without those two fundamental, the question of repatriation will be a myth. The social, economical, development of the Rastafari movement would be a myth. Because what we have said in this discussion is that we need money to move from A to B. And we have to have credibility. And when it comes to one thing, work. We have to get land in Jamaica where we bought. And we believe that this statement in the Facebook should motivate and stimulate the Rastafarian people. And the student of Ethiopia and politics. Listen to this today, we understand that from 74 until the present moment in time, the Ethiopian people were re-educated by Marxists, Leninists, Stalinists. And through that, you reject Haile Selassie I government as an exploiting government and a government that don't care for both the people. But look at it again. Christian the inaugurated speech made by the present Prime Minister. Christian Williams stated that he will bring back the historical glory of Ethiopia. Christian ended up with him say that we have our own democracy. Because it's a democracy, you have freedom of expression, freedom of thought, freedom of movement with respect to the person. So there's not more I can say about make my brethren, Chris Graham, who lead this discussion, making a closing remarks. But as I can say that God and history, God and history decide the whole thing. Give thanks to His Imperial Majesty. Jah.
Rastafari, Emperor Haile Selassie I.
Yeah, this is again after our discussion and documentation of this speech that I just read. We have come to the conclusion that the government of Ethiopia and the people of Ethiopia at home and abroad have no choice. Why we have no choice? Because the present government in Ethiopia should be seen as a transitional government to restore Emperor Haile Selassie I's government, which is the only government for Ethiopia.
Sure.
Because Emperor Haile Selassie I his government is coming from ancient time in Ethiopia. And it's the longest reigning monarchy in the whole world. We in Ethiopia should be proud of that. There's no other country in the world that has a government as old as Ethiopia's government under the monarchy of Emperor Haile Selassie I, constitutional monarchy. No other government in the world. Now you must ask yourself, the government of Ethiopia and the people of Ethiopia at home and abroad, are you going to give up that? That will make us proud? If we give up that, we have no history.
Sure.
You understand me? And we have no law. Because 1931, the 16th of July, Emperor Haile Selassie I gave us the law, the constitution is the law. And if you research the whole world and look, there's no other constitution like the constitution of Emperor Haile Selassie I. And it is accepted by the people. But as Zabuna said a while ago, the Derg erased that out of the mentality of the people. And as we just identified in the article here, that most of those people who lived under the monarchy, them get very old or have passed. And the Derg killed out thousands of them. This was strategic by them to erase out of the mentality of the people the whole history of Ethiopia. But it didn't do that for us. We in the West maintain it. And from 1974 have agitated for restoration of Emperor Haile Selassie I's government. We will not say much more. We will only say to you that you must now research and look into the history. And if you need information on Emperor Haile Selassie I's government and the history of Ethiopia, the imperial history, the royal history of Ethiopia, you can come to the Church of Haile Selassie I and the Imperial Ethiopian World Federation for all the information that you will need, because we are said to be the vanguard of that history. Go and ask for Wasson Haile Selassie website and you will see the full length of the scope of all this agitation for liberation and restoration of the government and dynasty of Emperor Haile Selassie I. Long live the dynasty of Emperor Haile Selassie I. liberty in our nation. The Lion, Emperor Haile Selassie I visit. One God, blessed be
Jah! Rastafari, Emperor Haile Selassie I, living God.
Look on the word, they go right from to go buy them cats because they're roofing.
On the wall.
I think you want this one then.
Yes,
Historical.
very.
Alright.
Yes,
Jah.